Starting today, Rogers is raising the price to call the U.S. for customers without a long-distance plan. The change nearly doubles the cost per minute. The hike comes at a time when the CRTC is supposed to be working on rules to lower phone prices. CBC business reporter Anis Hadari is tracking the story and joins us live from Calgary. So Anis, what are the details behind today's fee increase by Rogers?
So specifically what we're seeing today is if you are a Rogers customer and you don't have a long distance plan, you're going to pay $1 a minute to call the US. That's up from 55 cents a minute, but that's again, if you don't have a plan. You can get out of these charges if you pay $15 a month to get unlimited calling to the US, for example. And there are a few other options depending on your plan. With the other companies, Bell charges 75 cents a minute. Bell says that hasn't changed. TELUS, 80 cents a minute. No plans to change that either. But telecom consumer advocates are saying these fees are just one example of what is making cell phone bills creep up in general. Those advocates also say these kind of increases can put a bit of a disproportionate financial burden on people who can't afford more expensive plans.
Big telecom will consistently find loopholes. And right now the pressure is for them to keep their plan prices low. And so what we're really seeing is a creep of all of those fees around the plans, all the peripheral charges that everyone can be exposed to for two reasons, I think. Really to make sure that they're not hitting that main plan price and they can continue to keep those either the same or lower, but also to pressure people into those bigger plans.
So it's fair to point out that the providers themselves say their prices are competitive, and there is Statistics Canada data showing wireless prices have declined since 2020, Andrew.
So, but Anis, and this is different, we should say, from roaming fees. So what's the latest on those costs?
Yeah, if we're talking about roaming fees, that's where, say, you're going to the States and you're physically there and you want to use your phone. Rogers has not raised those fees. Bell and TELUS did back in March. They're anywhere from $12 to $16 a day, depending on who your provider is and where you're going. But those are also examples of how some of these fees are creeping up with some providers. Now, if you lived in Europe, let's say, just as a counterpoint, and you had a European phone number, you were a European, it's a different story. EU law doesn't let wireless customers from there be charged more as they travel through that block of countries. In Canada, we don't have any rules like that. So these fees are things that all of the companies, if they choose to, can raise, whether it's long distance fees in the case of Rogers or roaming fees in the case of Bell and TELUS. So while overall wireless prices are going down according to Statistics Canada, it's these fees that are going up so that carriers can increase their revenue while they offer a low price on the plan itself. It's everything else that goes up, and that's the bill that you pay. Andrew.
And thank you. CBC business reporter Anis Hadari in Calgary.